Hello, this is a clip which I am pasting into the beginning of another video I made a few hours ago because I've had a second thought, and it's aimed at you people in America. You see, the original video was more referring to the UK because of the freedom of speech issues we're having here. But then I realised I thought there was something missing. So instead of uploading it, I went out to ride my horse. And while I was riding, because there's nothing like riding for clearing your mind, I realised that this was just as relevant to the USA as it was to the UK. Now, the situation is slightly different, but it's the same result. And that is, in Britain, we don't have freedom of speech enshrined in law. It used to be part of common law, really, but now, what with the Labour Party tinkering with common law in the 90s, they instituted something called the Racial and Religious Hatred Act. I'm sure you can work out what that restricts from the title itself. And since then, the police have been extremely enthusiastic in applying that law to all sorts of things. Now, you might think, well, this, of course, has no relevance to America. But yes, it does, because even though in America you have freedom of speech in law, you don't have it in practice. Oh, yes, technically you can say what you want, but you try and say that on any university campus and see how far you get. So, and the worst is that not only do you get crowds heckling, shouting down, setting off fire alarms, cutting wires to microphones, all that sort of thing, but you get the deans and governors of educational institutions colluding with these people. That is, not telling them to stop, not shifting them, not trying to at least keep them quiet so that the other person can talk before they start. So in America, you too have a freedom of speech issue, except it's not so much enshrined in law as in practice. And that's what I'm talking about in Britain as well. So without further ado, this was the introduction. This is aimed at everybody in the so-called free world who have discovered that there are things they can't talk about. And I'm just introducing the video I made much earlier on today. Okay, enjoy. Hello, I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I let you know when I've uploaded a new video on Twitter, Gab and Parler, where I am at Granniopteryx. Please help my channel by liking, sharing and subscribing. And if you're watching this on YouTube, check that your subscription is still going. That's not a given. And you can also help by donating, either buy me a coffee or clicking one of the other links below in the description. Okay, to business. Well, not exactly to business, because as it so happens, this time I'm going to be talking about an idea I had. I'm not sure how workable it is, but it struck me as a different approach to the police. I'm not talking about defunding the police, of course, but I am pointing out that the police have proved singularly unable to enforce the law and singularly willing to enforce laws that don't actually exist. So the Twitterverse is just littered with examples of the police standing there next to Just Stop Oil protesters who are stopping traffic in busy roads through London and other places, and they're not doing anything. The police, that is. The Just Stop Oil aren't doing anything either. They're just sitting there. But they can be moved. The police are being all nice and nice to them, but there is a law. There is already a law. There doesn't need to be another law. It's something about blockading or obstructing public highways. There is a law that says people can be arrested for doing that. So why aren't the police doing it? On the other hand, we've seen many little video clips of the police threatening people when they're holding up placards saying things like, a woman is an adult human female, or controversial ideas like that, and threatening them with arrest, or actually arresting them. And there was one horrible case of a disabled woman in a wheelchair, and they arrested her and held her because she'd been posting stickers saying women were adult human females. And then they let her out of the station without her mobile phone. I think they gave her the phone, but she'd been held so long it had been drained. At 3 o'clock in the morning, she was trying to trundle home in her wheelchair with no means of communication, which is obviously the police deciding to apply punishment to somebody just winging it off their own bat. So the police are not actually fulfilling the jobs that we entrusted them with. So it's not a matter of defunding the police, it's a matter of defining what the police actually are. Now, it used to be that police, I have some notes here or something, but I can't be bothered with them. It used to be that police policed parking. You got parking tickets from policemen. If somebody... Oh, here's another matter of obstruction. If somebody parked a car across your driveway, if you happen to be lucky enough to have a driveway, if somebody parked a car across that was obstruction, and the police would come and tow it away or issue a ticket or something like that. And then, after a while, the police decided they couldn't handle that, and it was... the job was given to local authorities or private parking companies and that sort of thing. Now, the police are policing free speech, and most of them are totally unaware, obviously totally unaware of the law regarding free speech, and are threatening people with arrest. And even if the police are wrong about the arrest, whoever gets arrested will be silenced or seriously inconvenienced, like that woman in the wheelchair, and put in danger in many cases. So it's obvious the police can't handle free speech. So the answer should be probably that the idea of free speech should be taken away from the police, and there should be a unit that would be created specifically to enforce freedom of speech. That's a weird thing. Of course, they could be there to enforce the precise opposite, so some care has to be taken. But you see, this could happen if the government, or whatever comes next, if the government actually ditches all the laws that have been passed since the Labour government in the 90s that restrict free speech. We should have absolute free speech here, unless it's actually incitement to criminal activity. Of course, that could never be allowed. But anything giving opinions or saying something that's contrary to fashionable ideas right now, that should be free. And it should be policed to be free, not to be suppressed. Now, the police we have now, they have a mandate to suppress free speech. At least that's the way they see it. And if we took that idea away from them and just gave it to a group that's then mandated to encourage free speech, to allow free speech, to protect people who are exercising their rights to free speech, that might help our society a very great deal. And it might make us a society of ideas rather than what is steadily becoming a society of fear. Okay, well, that's my idea. And yeah, maybe some of you can tell me what you think about that idea. It's a bit radical, I'm sure. All right, well, I am Granniopteryx. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.